Hi, welcome back to day two of our conversation about mental wellness. We're joined again by Charles and Kerr, and we were talking, right? I suggested at the end of yesterday that age was a factor in being able to take a perspective of feelings that we have. Charles, what's your view of that?
I don't think it's about age. I think it's about intent. Um, so I was in my early 20s when I came out of this breakdown, and I became very, very intentional about actively managing my mood. Over the years, I've got better at doing it. I've learned more about myself, but I think the crucial thing was the intent, and actually saying, I will make choices about what I eat or when I sleep or how much exercise I hang out with or how much alcohol I do or do not consume, etc., etc. And there have been times when I've been tempted, to work all night, and there have been times when I've been tempted to go on great flights of fancy and have even more inspirational ideas. But I also notice that actually I can overdo it. And I then step back and make sure I do get a proper night's sleep, make sure I do eat regularly, make sure I am around people who are constructive to my mental health rather than destructive.
So
So I'm not sure it's about age, to be honest.
okay, so then my question for Kerr and for you is that so you had a serious situation happen to you at an earlier age, Charles. I had my first serious thing happen to me when I was 22. Do you think that you have to hit rock bottom before you start managing yourself?
I think that's the greatest misconception, and it partly comes also from a very simple fact that we don't have any mental wellness education in schools, which means that basically we don't have a tool set or a mindset how to be well. And I totally agree with Charles that it's about intent and it's about your inner decision to focus on things that keep you well. For example, for me, it's quite natural that I eat vegetarian food. I try to sleep well. I always try to go over the weekend for a longer nature walk. If it's possible, I try to do a walk every single day. For example, I don't watch much TV at all. Very seldom there's some news now, maybe because of the COVID, but otherwise I kept it totally closed. I indeed watch sometimes some movies, but I pick some movies which are good for my mental health and which give me ideas.
Yep.
Sometimes I watch documentaries, sometimes action movies, but it has to be always something that gives me something.
Mm.
And I think that we should expose ourselves to more activities that keep us well. And I see that because of this lack of education, we are not doing this consciously very often. We sometimes happen to be in the right company. We sometimes have to take a pause and walk somewhere. But we very seldom have a kind of our own action plan for staying well. And I definitely recommend everyone, and I do it also myself, that I have my own actions which I have to do every single day. For example, I start every single day with a moment of silence. And if you have that kind of a personal actions which you do yourself to keep yourself well, then you have a possibility to stay on the wellness side. And if you don't, it's very probable that you end up with stress, positive stress, and especially positive stress leads to burnout.
Yeah.
And I think something that people are unaware of. So it's not riding on a positive wave of thinking or positive wave of feelings that you can do for a very long time. It also consumes your energy. And it's also stress that leads to anxiety, depression, and many other mental health issues. So becoming aware of a warning sign is another important thing. You have to notice what is going on within your mind, and you need tools for that, and that's why we provide this interpersonal education.
So, what's coming clear then from all three of our stories is that we intentionally make sure we keep ourselves in a stable position through food, through sleep, through exercise, through being with nature. Now we had a chat, Kerr and I, and a lady called Jacqueline Miner, who's a HR perspective. She gave us her perspective. Charles, you're dealing with Future Perfect and dealing with companies and CEOs. Do you see things that you recognize as mental stresses with your customers?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a critical part of what we do with people. I've had people come to me sent by their business partner because their business partner recognizes that they are literally working themselves to death.
Right.
And they won't go to a mental health professional, they won't go to a psychologist, they won't go to their doctor. They will go and join a group of fellow CEOs who are trying to be more effective as CEOs and trying to grow their businesses. And that gives me the wonderful in to then explore with them and what's working in their lives and what's not working in their lives. And got a particular individual in mind. He joined our group. He hadn't had a holiday for 3 years. He was working in a business where one of his key suppliers was in India, so he's working both ends of the day.
Yep.
And he only saw his daughter between 5 and 7 o'clock in the evening, and was working most weekends. And the wake-up call for him was when he ended up unable to stand up.
Wow.
And the doctor said to him, no, unless you change your lifestyle, you are going to be very, very ill. But what we did was enable him to believe that he could be a more effective CEO by better managing his whole life. And so he started cycling to work. He started setting aside time for a date night with his wife.
Nice.
He started taking his daughter out swimming regularly. He rebuilt his whole life because he had somehow in his mind decided that success was having a big enough business, even if it killed him. And it very nearly did.
Very nearly did. It's true, actually, that because a project I'm working on at the moment, we're looking for investment, and one of the things, having dealt with, as we all talk about, intentionally looking after our mental health, one of the things I notice with entrepreneurs is that they typically don't get paid. They typically work 18, 19-hour days in the belief that that is the most effective way to operate, and it clearly isn't. But it's a culture that's been baked into our developed economies that work hard and then you'll be happy. And I think that informs too many people's perspectives. Kerr, what do you think about managers and CEOs that you meet?
Well, I think those who are happiest have a very simple secret, and partly Charles mentioned it. It's booking time for yourself and your family and for your holidays. I mean, just as you book another meeting with another person in your company or another CEO, you also have to book time for yourself. And this definitely have to be a rule. For example, I have had a rule for many years. I can do whatever I do, but I never work on weekends.
Right.
It's a total no-no. And it kind of gives me 2 full days to relax and be with my family and do what I want to do. You have to have also other similar rules for yourselves, but I think everyone else should find the rules that are best for them. It's not that one rule is 100% suitable for everybody. But the groundbreaking thing is book time for yourself.